And good evening. My name is Ryan Belmore. I'm the owner and publisher of What's Up Noop, and we are continuing our interviews with the candidates. This week has all about Newport City Council at large, as well as Newport School Committee. And if you want to see our schedule, if you want to look up any other videos, you can find them all on whatsupnoop.com, as well as everything that we have coming up next week with Middletown, the following week with Portsmouth, Senate 11, 12, 13, gubernatorial candidates, Secretary of State, Attorney General. If there's a race, the candidates have been invited. Congressional District 2. If there's a race, candidates have been invited, and we're getting through them this month. Every day we hear more RSVPs, so looks like we're going to have about 60 or 70 interviews this month. Just a couple reminders. Early voting starts October 19th, less than 2 weeks now, and the general election is November 8th, 5 weeks away. You visit vote.ri.gov. You can find your polling place, your sample ballot. Make sure you're registered to vote. There are two sides to the ballot, at least in Newport. You will have all your races on the first page. Second page is 10 questions. And we'll touch base on some of those questions today, but it's a good idea to pull it up ahead of time and get to know it before you show up to vote, either sometime between October 19th and November 8th. Incumbent James Dring is seeking re-election on Newport School Committee, and it's been about 2 years since we've done this, and James joins us now. And James, how are you?
I'm doing well, Ryan. How are you?
Good. It's hard to believe that it's already been 2 years since the last time we did this.
You know, it went by a lot faster than I thought it would, but I'm happy to be on the school committee, and I think we've accomplished a lot, and I think we all work pretty well together, making decisions, and I think we're in a good place right now.
Yeah, how has your term been? Obviously, you ran for office and have been on the school committee during the COVID age, so it's different than normal. But how has it been?
The beginning, it was tough. We didn't meet in person. We met online. I sat here in this seat, same spot, and it was a little challenging because it was hard to get a feel for everything when you're just doing it online. You might as well be in California. You're talking about Newport. There's nothing like being, I think, in the school and sitting there and getting a feel for it and seeing some of the teachers and having people, want to come and address us. They come and, they sit in the audience and you're face to face with them. So I was very happy when that whole, situation sort of ended and we were able to get back into the school and the kids were able to get back to school. And, that's one of the things I tried to do was I fought hard to get the kids back in school and get off that hybrid model. The hybrid model honestly, it was a disaster for the kids. They went to school 2 days a week and they got out at noontime and the rest of the time they're doing it online. And it was hard. I had to watch my kids, try to make sure they were online. So I can't imagine what it was like for parents all over the city. And we literally had kids that just disappeared. They just never logged on and we really never really found them. So, we've obviously got back to normal. Last year was our first year back to normal. And it was a tough year because we had a lot of behavioral issues. The kids weren't used to being in school. So this year has actually been a lot better. I think the transition, going back to school was a lot smoother. So I think we're moving in a good direction. And, again, I'm happy to be on the school committee because I think we've accomplished a lot. And I work well with other people on the school committee.
Yeah, one of the things, firsthand of how difficult it was is because you are a parent. And one of the other candidates that I interviewed also brought up that they were a parent and how there's not a lot of parents current parents on the school committee, city council. I think this is a good opportunity to remind people or introduce yourself to first-time voters, new residents, of who you are.
I appreciate it. Yep. Well, again, my name is James Dring. I was born, raised in Newport. I'm a product of the Newport Public Schools myself. I graduated from Rogers High School. I went to St. Anselm College. I have a degree in business. I went to Salve. I got an MBA. So I do have a background in finance. My father actually was in education in Newport for 30 years. Anyone who went through the school system and graduated anytime before the 90s knows my father. He was a teacher. He was a department head. And he retired back in the 1990s. He was the principal at Thompson. So, so I do have that background with my dad. But as far as being a parent, you're right. I'm the only parent, with kids in the system who's on the school committee. And there's no one even on the city council that has kids in the system. So I really think that was one of the things that motivated me to run. I believe that is a perspective that needs to be represented. But on the other side too, I'm also a homeowner. So, I mean, I know what it's like to sit down every 3 months and write that check out and the tax check out to the city of Newport. So I get both sides of the equation. I understand the money side. I also understand, the educational side. And, and I get feedback from my kids. They come home, they tell me what's going on in the schools. And, I can tell you they're both having a good experience. My younger daughter is a freshman at Rogers. She was at Thompson last year. My oldest daughter is a senior at Rogers. And they both really like it. They enjoy going, they actually enjoy going to school. They really do. They enjoy getting up and going. And like I said, I have a unique perspective. And I do believe that it's a perspective that needs to be represented.
In the correct me if I'm wrong on my timeline here, you know better than I do, the freshmen will get to see the new Rogers?
Yes, the new Rogers will be finished September of 2024, so 2 years. So she'll be going into her junior year, and so she'll get to see the school. I actually talked to her a little bit about it today. We talked about the whole elephant in the room regionalization too, which I know we'll get to later. So I won't talk about it now. But
yeah.
But yeah, so they're engaged in their schools, and it gives me, like I said, a good opportunity to see what's going on. And I've had times where I called up other people on the school committee. I'm like, hey, you know what's going on at Thompson or Rogers? And they're like, no. And I only know that because my kids are there. So it does gives I do give feedback to other people on the school committee as well.
And I know life is busy, especially with having kids being a parent. But why don't you think we see parents running for this position more often?
It's time consuming, and it takes a lot. Not only when you're serving, but sometimes honestly, like running for office takes a lot of time. Campaigning, you got to raise money. Most people with kids are working. I mean, I'm working too, but luckily with my schedule, it allows me the flexibility. And my kids are also older. My daughter she's 17 now. She was 15 when I was elected. So I could go to a school committee meeting, I'd get dinner ready, say, hey, Ella, can you help me out with the kids? I'll be back in a few hours. And I know I can leave my kids with her and she's fine. So, but not every parent is really in that situation. And I think that's why we don't see a lot more. I mean, I'd like to be even more involved in the schools. I'd like to be more involved in the PTO if I could. But being on the school committee, that does take a lot of my time at night. But yeah, I mean, like I said, even being on the school committee, I enjoy it and my kids get it. So I do get a lot of help from them.
You joined at a time, you were elected the same time that the school bond was on there, the expansion at Pell, as well as the new Rogers. And your last 2 years has probably been consumed, or at least the last couple months, on some of the regional school district talk. But I wonder what other challenges you see, the biggest challenges you see for Newport School Committee right now and over the next 2 years.
Well, I think probably some of the biggest challenge really is just the nature of our students. We have, almost 80% of our kids are on, either reduced lunch or free lunch. And we also have a lot of ELL kids. So the ELL kids, first off, let me back up and say ELL kids that come in here, they need to be educated like every other kid. Every kid who goes to school in the new city of Newport needs to get the same opportunity and the same chance as every other kid, regardless of where they live, what the color of their skin is. Everybody deserves the same opportunity. But with that being said, the ELL kids, they take up a lot of resources because they don't speak English, and obviously we all speak English. The schools, everything's in English. It's a difficult transition, and it does take a lot of money and a lot of resources, to help those kids. And what you don't want to do is be taking away resources from one student and giving it to another. So that's a little bit challenging. Especially when you get some of the older kids. I've heard stories from teachers that, there's kids at Rogers that have come in and they don't know how to hold a pencil. They come in from Central America. They literally don't know how to write. They don't know how to hold a pencil. I mean, it's an incredible challenge for a teacher and a staff. And, so we have unique challenges here that they don't have in Barrington and a lot of other school districts. So I think that's a challenge that we have. And it's certainly not going to go away, but I think we've done a good job managing it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but ELO is expanded learning opportunities?
English language learners. I'm sorry.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So there's kids that come from Central America and a lot of other places as well. They don't speak English. And it's tough. It does take a lot of resources to bring that child up to speed. but they after a while, kids catch on pretty quick, and so I think when we get them younger, by the time they're here for a while, they're speaking English fine.
What's been the biggest surprise in your last 2 years serving?
I'd say the biggest surprise is when I got on the school committee, I didn't really realize, well, first off, it's tough. Even though I finished my first term, and I've talked to other people that have been on for 10 years, and they still learn stuff every year. We control primarily policy, and we control, our budget. And our budget, we don't even really have ultimate control. It's the city council that approves our budget. So a lot of people think that we, control everything, like, curriculum, we're in the classroom. It doesn't. The superintendent runs the schools, the principals run the buildings, the teachers run the classroom. We more, control the policy. So that's kind of what I had to get used to in the beginning. And the other thing I was surprised at the number of phone calls that I get. I have people call me all the time, and some of them are positive. Most of them are complaining. And, I have people say to me, why do you want to do this? Don't you have people calling you up complaining all the time? And I said, yeah, but now that I'm on the school committee, I can actually do something about it. So it's not as bad as it sounds, and I will say if there's an issue and I reach out to the superintendent or somebody, she's great about getting back and, looking into it and trying to resolve any situation that a parent might have or a student might have. So I would feel good about that, I can intervene and I can help, someone maybe navigate through a difficult time if they're having an issue. And the other thing is getting our kids out of masks. I mean, that was really challenging last year too. And we finally did get the mask mandate lifted because it's incredibly difficult to teach a kindergartner or a first grader, their letters if they can't even see the teacher's mouth, or the teacher can't see their mouth. So I was very happy to get kids back in school and also, get them out of masks and get back to normal as quickly as possible.
You have to do one of my biggest pet peeves, which is answer the phone from unknown numbers and also listen to voicemails. Two of my biggest pet peeves.
Yeah.
Normally I just send it to voicemail because with my number being all over websites, I just get calls all day. Sometimes
I get texts from, I have no idea who this person is. They're asking me questions about this. Who is this? Yes. But I don't really mind. One thing I've always tried to do in business and personal is, and especially on the school committee, is get back to people promptly. And I think that helps. And I think I've been a good resource for someone who wants to reach out to me.
What have you found the biggest misunderstanding about the school committee is?
I think the public's misunderstanding is kind of like I hinted on before, is that people think we control everything and we really don't. I'm not a teacher. I mean, I shouldn't be telling a teacher how to run a classroom. That's up to the principal. That's up to the superintendent. So a lot of times I get calls from people and they want me to fix something, that's in the classroom or something that happens, and you can't. You have to go through the proper channels. I'm not an educator. I'm a layperson. I'm on the school committee, and again, we do rely on the teachers and the staff a lot to answer our questions. And like I said, if I do have an issue, I reach out to the superintendent. She's always really good about getting back to us.
It's a good time to plug for me. Superintendent Colleen Burns-Germain joins us on the last Wednesday of every month at 1:30. People can go back and look at interviews with her. It's just like this. Or they can tune in for the next one, and we take your questions. We ask her. She's always open, always positive, and I think is always honest with us. So it's always a great opportunity to chat with her.
Yeah. She's always available.
Yes, she is. I've joked with some of the other incumbents. Last time around was Rogers and Pell. This time around is regional school district in quotes. I can't even imagine what could possibly be in 2 years from now. Where do you, for those that don't know, on question 5 on the back of your ballot is going to be a question, authorized establishment of a regional school district, which just in plain text right there will confuse the heck out of everybody. But James, where do you fall on the regional school district conversation?
Well, I have tried to keep an open mind the entire time. I've listened to both sides, and this has truly been the elephant in the room. It really overtakes every conversation that we have about the school. It's pretty much all we've been talking about lately. And it's interesting, how the whole thing is played out. Because that's at the core. It's not it's not a true regionalization with the schools. It's really regionalization of the administration. And then, it's going to be an elected school committee for Middletown and Newport that would make the decisions about the school, about the curriculum, about policy. And there'll also be a finance division or group that's going to be set up and appointed where their school committee is going to be elected. So I've tried to look at the pros and the cons. And, the pros are obviously we're going to get $46 million extra if this is approved. And a lot of people say, well, we don't know how that's going to be paid. Well, I know how it's going to be paid because I looked into it. It's going to be paid twice a year. We're going to get $900,000 from the state twice a year, which is $1.8 million over the life of the loan. And hopefully the tax rate is what I'm being told is going to be adjusted accordingly. Going forward, we're going to get a 67% reimbursement on anything that we do. So if we have to replace a boiler at Thompson, it blows up, we'll get a 67% reimbursement from the state. If we have to build a new building, we're going to get a 67% reimbursement from the state. There's also ongoing savings. And, there's a lot of talk about, we get up to $4 million a year. And I don't believe that. I don't think it's going to be that much. We should see savings by consolidating the administration. The buses will be consolidated. We'll save money there. We're going to absolutely save money. I don't think it's going to be the $4 million that I've heard about. But one of the good things too, Ryan, is that it's really open to discussion and education that I haven't really heard in a long time. And I think it brings up the question, how can we do this better? And is this a way to do it better? So that's the $1 million question. Is this a way to do it better? I've even spoken to my kids about it, kind of got their feedback on it. And my older daughter said to me, Dad, I'm already working in theater with kids from Middletown. She's like, well, they have their practice. 1 week it's in Middletown, the next week it's at Rogers. We're already consolidating, hockey kids, they play together. There's art shows that they do together. We've done teachers training with teachers in Middletown. So we've already doing some stuff together as it is. And I believe this is an evolving process. I think if this passes, it's going to be a first step towards maybe 5-10 years down the road where it is a true regionalization. And as far as the cons, is the unknown. There's the fear factor out there. People don't know exactly what's coming down the pipe and what is going to happen. And I think it's a legitimate fear. But you get the flip side is, what is the cost of doing nothing? Doing nothing, we're going to be stuck in exactly the same place. Some people are saying, and I've heard it, and Ryan, you've heard it, let's wait a year or two and we'll study this and we'll get all our questions answered. But the bottom line is that's really not how it's going to work, because number one, you're never going to get all the questions answered. Never going to happen. Number two, if you do get most of the questions answered, then there's still going to be a school committee that's going to be elected in the future that's going to be making policy decisions. So you could come up with all these great, wonderful ideas, but in the end, if the new elected school committee doesn't agree with it, they're going to change it anyway. And that could happen on our school committee if we don't regionalize. We could have a new school committee in 2 years that wants to do something differently. And I'll even use like Rogers High School as an example, the bond in the new Rogers High School. We knew exactly what was going to happen when the bond passed. We knew we saw pictures of the school. This is what it's going to be like. This is where it's going to be. And then we have a school building committee. Well, that school building committee has made, I don't know how many changes, because I don't know how many special meetings I had to go to approve changes. The building doesn't look like it now, what it did, in the beginning, because they've had to make significant changes. They've had to make it smaller. They've moved it around. It's going to be in one spot. Now it's going to be in a different spot on the property. The tennis courts have been moved. The track's been moved around. So a lot of stuff has been moved around because, again, building committee made decisions that were presented to them, just like a school committee in the future. If we regionalize, is going to have to make decisions. And money, and a lot of people are upset. Oh, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Money and education go hand in hand. Where in the world would we be if we didn't have the money to educate our kids? So it's an incredibly important aspect of education. So it's not just about the money, because like I said, money and education go, hand in hand. We need to have adequate fundings for our school. And, I've heard a lot of people too talking about, how this is going to be segregation. And I really don't understand that, because quite honestly, we're segregated now. We have a Newport schools, we have Middletown schools. Kids from Newport go to Rogers. Kids from Middletown go to Middletown High School. We're segregated. There's some crossover in different areas, but regionalization is the opposite of segregation. It's actually bringing the schools together. So I don't really understand that argument. And personally, if this passes, I mean, I've already said I enjoy being on the school committee. My school committee is going to be disbanded in a year and a half. It's on June 30th of 2024. The school committee, it's over, unless I run for the new school committee. So, personally, for me, and Ryan, I think you can see where I'm getting at. I am in favor of it, and I think we should pass this. And if it happens, me personally, I'm actually going to get hurt because the board I'm on is going to be dissolved. So I'm not doing it for personal gain. I just think it's the right thing to do. And another important issue too is with the money here, and the city council's voted for this. If we vote against this, and I know most people on the school committee that I serve with are against this. So how it's going to make it very difficult for us to sit down with the city council in future years and ask them for more money when we turn this down. I think it's going to hurt our relationship, with the city council. And I think one more thing, Ryan, is that people are upset at Middletown for what happened years ago. I get it. They weren't nice. They really disrespected us. And I've watched them come hat in hand and apologize. And why do they do it? Yeah. Do they need us? Yes, they absolutely need us. But do we want to turn around and do to them what they did to us? I mean, I don't think that's very fair. And to take it a step further, do we really want to punish their kids and not give them an adequate, school facility to have a state-of-the-art education in because we're mad because 2 years ago, the town council in Middletown, some of the people aren't even there anymore, offended us. I don't think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, these are our neighbors, they're right up the street, It's not like we're talking about someone who we don't know in upstate New York. I mean, we're all living on the same island. So that's where I'm coming from. I do support this. I know I'm the only one, I'm sure you can say, that's come out and said that as far as people you've interviewed for the school committee.
Yeah, you are the only one who has adamantly come out and said you are for it. A couple of the candidates agreed with me that they could be pushed either way. A lot of what I heard, I'm sure what a lot of people are hearing is they don't like that the process was. I'm just going to try to hit the one-hit wonders here. They don't like that it's rushed. They're not sure if the money's actually going to be there. And it's not true regionalization. What comfort, because you are definitely running across these people as well. What comfort can you give them to reconsider not voting against it, not rejecting it? What comfort can you help bring them over to the approved side?
Well, I hear a lot of talk about, hey, let's kick the can down the road a couple of years and do this right. But if we finish Rogers High School, it's off the table. We're not going to get anything more than we're getting now. We're not going to get 67%. We're not going to get anything more. So if you want to push this out 2 years to the next election cycle, it's over because we're going to finish Rogers High School. The kids are going to be there in September of 2024. And when that building is finished, this regionalization plan is off the table. We're not going to get the 67% that people are talking about. So in order to do it, we'd have to actually, it would be a rush. We'd have to try to rush it, and we'd have to try to get it on, have a special election ahead of time. I can't remember the last time Newport had a special election. It was probably for the Thompson, the first Thompson bond, which was probably back in the 90s sometime.
We had one for Senate District 13, but that was just election. But I think that would be it. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while, so I don't know if that's actually feasible. So I don't want to miss this opportunity. And I haven't heard anybody say, if this regionalization passes as it is, that our test scores for the kids in Newport are going to go down, or our graduation rate is going to get worse, or our absentee rate is going to get worse. I haven't heard anybody say that. The fear, from what I have seen, is just the fear of the unknown. Like, what is going to happen? And I think, like, we have confidence in the buildings, school building committee. We have to have confidence that this school committee that's going to come together between Newport and Middletown are going to have the best interest of the kids, and they're going to do the best job that they can and come out with a good product. And it's about having faith and confidence in that. So that's why I feel the way that I do, and I do support it.
So as a father, a taxpayer, a resident, school committee member, and as somebody who knows it, has dug into the dirty details, you can honestly say that this, you believe, is the best thing for the kids of Newport and Middletown moving forward. I do.
And I've been hearing about regionalization for my entire adult life, and it's always fallen apart. And I think this is our best chance to get it done. And I think it's going to be an incremental regionalization. And what I mean by that is, and I think I said it before, I think in 5 to 10 years, it will be a full regionalization. This is the first step, in my opinion.
Do you think people, I'm laughing because it's just the question is so confusing when you
No,
just
I know. I get it.
legalese. Do you think people are going to understand it enough to approve or reject it in 2 weeks? To make an informed decision about approving or rejecting it, or is it going to be all about emotion?
Well, I think most of the opposition is based on emotion at this point. I've tried to look at it, from I'm always like look at things pragmatically, and I look at it, and like I said, I don't. What does it cost of doing nothing? And like I said, I haven't heard anybody say that it's going to hurt the kids in the Newport school system. I don't see that happening. I see a benefit. I do. I see a benefit as a taxpayer. I see potential benefit down the road, and nobody really has the answers of exactly what's going to happen. And like I said, Ryan, even if we did, a new school committee could come in and go in a separate direction. So you have to have faith and confidence in the system that people that are going to run for the school committee, the new school committee, are going to have the best interests of the kids. And I think that if you look back at history, that's been the case. So that's kind of why I feel like it's the right thing to do at this time, because I think if we don't do it, I don't know if we get another opportunity.
Today's October 5th. How are you feeling? Is it going to pass?
I think it's going to be close, but I think it will. I do.
You talk to a lot more parents and voters, and I was just wondering how you thought it was leaning, or what you were feeling.
Well, I hear about half the people for it. I hear about half the people that aren't for it, and a lot of people say they don't really know, but I mean, you're gonna have to go in and pull the lever at some point, and or don't pull levers anymore, but put the arrow next to it at some point, and you have to make a decision. And I think, again, like a lot of it has to do with the confidence level that this is going to come into play with the school committee, and they're going to do the right thing and make the right decisions. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't see how it's going to hurt the kids as far as the test scores and absenteeism. Maybe it's going to help. I mean, we've been struggling for years with those issues in Newport, so perhaps this is an opportunity. I said in the beginning, it was an opportunity to make things better. I think that it could be. I think it is, actually.
I think, I'm just thinking about the casino vote and the Rogers and Pell. I think with this one, what I've heard the most is the unknown. What we knew what was going to happen when we voted for casino. We knew what was going to happen when we voted for Rogers and Pell. In this one, I think what scares people is maybe the unknown.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. That's correct. And I think, but again, the flip side is, what's the cost of doing nothing? And that's kind of how I've looked at it.
Let me see here. And we are, for people to understand, Frank from our team is working on a story. A couple candidates have said, people should read all of the legalese, the full from the General Assembly. So we're going to put that together so people can more easily find it. Our goal here is just that try to help people understand and, your side of view, other people's side of view on how to move forward. But that is question 5 on the ballot. 2 weeks away. So read up on it and call James. Talk to him.
Give me a call anytime.
Yeah, find out why.
Typically answer by phone or text me.
Let me see here. I want to get back to just serving on the school committee for a minute. And I've kind of had fun with this question. What's something you wish everyone knew about school committee or Newport Public Schools?
I wish people knew how hard that we worked, how much time we put into it. And everyone on the school committee, I can say that from working with them, everybody's heart's in the right place. We're there for the right reasons. We want to make the schools the best that we can for the kids. And I see everybody sort of on the same boat. We don't agree on everything. And there's been a lot of 5-2 votes, a lot of 6-1 votes, but we're all there for the right reasons.
It takes a village. What are some ways that the community as a whole even if people don't have never stepped foot in Rogers, don't have kids in schools, ways the community can support you and Newport Public Schools?
I think, Ryan, they can vote for regionalization. I think that would be the best thing they could do. The other thing they can do is, go to the theater groups, see what the kids are doing. Go to some of the sporting events, see the kids, playing football or basketball. Because I can tell you that from having kids at Rogers are proud to be Rogers students. They're proud to be there. I've heard some people say, they know that, that they can't compare it to Barrington. I don't believe that. There's a lot of pride down at Rogers, and there's a lot of pride in the Newport school systems. And I wish that more people could see that and realize it.
We may have hit on it while we spent so much time on regionalization, but I just want to go back to it just to make sure I asked the question. The money, the cost savings, where do you think those should go? If it's
I think the money up front that we save on the bond should go to pay down the bond. I think as our annual savings obviously should go back into the budget. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Back in the fund, back to the kids, back to the education system, back to our budget. And I will say, Ryan, one more thing is that we've done a pretty good job managing the budget. Middletown's got a deficit. We have a $5.5 million surplus. And a lot of it is ESSER funds, but a lot of it was from good management as well. So I think that's one of the things I feel good about from being on the school committee for the past year. And the first budget I voted against, the first budget when I was on the school committee, because when I ran, I said, one of the questions I was asked, I don't know if you asked, Ryan, or maybe someone else, but they said, what's the best thing you can do, to make have a better relationship with the city council? And I said, let's bring them realistic budgets. So the first budget was, sure enough, it was a sky in the pie, 4%, raised budget. And I'm like, this is dead on arrival. There's no way they're going to approve this. Let's bring a real budget down there. So sure enough, I voted against it. It went down, but it passed. It goes down to City Hall. And sure enough, it gets kicked back. Then we have to do another budget, the one that we should have done in the first place, to bring it back to them. And then that one got approved. And like I say, this year, the budget we sent down to them, I voted for it the first time around. It was a good budget. And the city council liked it, and it got approved. So I think that, there's another success that we've had as far as being on the school committee.
And I think we've hit on this in many ways, but you are one of 8 candidates running for 7 seats on Newport School Committee. So there's only one outsider at the end of the day here. Yeah. But what, why should people check the box next to your name? What unique experience do you bring to the role?
Well, the funny part is I feel like we're in first grade and it's musical chairs, and there's 7 chairs and there's 8 of us. So when the music stops, I want to have one of the chairs. Yeah. I think what I bring to the table is I'm a pragmatist. I don't make decisions based emotionally. I try to look at the pros and cons of everything and make a decision. I think I've done that for the 2 years. I do have a background in finance. I work well with colleagues. Like I said, we don't vote the same way, but we make decisions. And at the end of the day, it's not personal. We don't, like I said, we don't always vote the same way, but it's not personal. And we've got a lot of stuff done. So I'd like to continue that. I welcome whoever, is going to be new. Obviously, there's going to be at least one new person. Welcome that person onto the school committee. And I look forward to working with them. And, I think I said, we've had a successful 2 years and I want to continue it. And I ask for the voters of the city of Newport to vote for me.
Excellent. Was there anything, I know we hit on a lot of topics, but was there anything that we missed?
I don't think so, Ryan. We've talked a lot.
I know you could fit a lot in 30 minutes, but you could also, we could make this conversation 3 hours and still leave stuff on the table. So what I do is I invite people, if they want to know more about you, or if they want to get in touch, reach out. And
well, if I can say one quick thing, Ryan, that we didn't talk about is I don't know if people are aware of this, but Pell School was finished on time and under budget. And how many times can you say that? So I think that was another success that we had with the school committee.
And I've heard it's absolutely beautiful, and everything's going well over there.
It is, and it's safer. We made a new when you walk into the entryway. We spent money to fix that up so that if someone ever got into the lobby, they can't get into the school, they can't get in the cafeteria. So I feel good that Pell is a lot safer than it was. 2 years ago. So like I said, there's one more success and one more thing that we've done right, and we're moving in the right direction. I'd like to continue it.
Excellent. Well, James, wish you the very best of luck. And next couple weeks, it's going to be over before you know it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Ryan, for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. You are welcome. That is James Dring, and he is an incumbent on Newport School Committee, and he will be on your ballot upcoming. Early voting starts October 19th in person. Well, not in person, but election day is November 8th. You can find your ballot, vote.ri.gov. You can read more about the regionalization question, as well as the other 9 questions that are on the ballot. There is a statewide school bond question as well. And we will have more reporting on whatsupnoop.com on all of those questions. If you want to see our upcoming schedule with more Newport School Committee candidates, you can find that on whatsupnoop.com, as well as previous videos we have done with candidates. Thanks for watching.